Ever dreamed of owning a house for just €1? Well, in one part of Germany, that dream is actually real. Today, I'm showing you exactly where and how you could get your own home for less than a cup of coffee plus 10 important facts you need to know. Let's dive in. 10. The regions offering €1 homes. These incredible deals are mainly found in eastern Germany, particularly in states like Saxony, Thuringia, and parts of Brandenburg. Small towns and villages in these areas have been losing population for decades as young people move to bigger cities for work. Towns like Gorlitz near the Polish border and several communities in the Harz Mountains have introduced these programs. Local governments would rather see someone renovate and live in these properties than watch them crumble into ruins. The programs are designed to bring new life and residents back to struggling communities. 9. Why are they so cheap? The €1 price tag isn't about the property being worthless. These regions face serious demographic challenges. After German reunification in 1990, millions of people left Eastern Germany for opportunities in the West. Entire neighborhoods emptied out, businesses closed, and properties were abandoned. Local governments now face a choice between maintaining empty buildings that cost money or transferring them to people who will actually use them. The symbolic €1 price makes headlines and attracts attention to these forgotten towns. It's essentially a marketing strategy wrapped in urban renewal. 8. The condition of these properties. Many of these houses are far from being ready to live in. Most have been abandoned for years, and time has not been kind to them. You'll often find roofs that have partially or completely collapsed, walls that are cracked or crumbling, and windows that are broken or missing entirely. Inside, the problems are just as serious. Electrical systems are outdated and unsafe, plumbing is either non-existent or in terrible condition, and some houses even contain hazardous materials like asbestos. Structural damage can run deep, affecting foundations, floors, and walls, with water damage or rot often spreading throughout the property. Buying one of these homes isn't about getting a bargain. It's about taking on a massive renovation project. To make the house livable, you'll likely need to invest anywhere from €50,000 to €200,000, depending on the level of repairs and modernization required. You're essentially buying a shell, a frame of walls, and a roof that needs to be completely rebuilt inside and out. Everything from the floors to the ceilings, from the electrical wiring to the plumbing, will likely need to be replaced or restored. 7. The hidden costs and requirements. The €1 price tag is just the very beginning of the costs. On top of the purchase, you'll need to pay property transfer taxes and legal fees, which can easily add several thousand euros to the total. Most of these programs also require you to submit detailed renovation plans within a relatively short time frame, usually 3 to 6 months after purchase. Once approved, the work itself must be completed within 2 to 5 years, with minimum investments that often range from 30,000 to over 100,000 euros, depending on the house's condition. These programs aren't designed for flipping houses quickly. In most cases, you cannot resell a property for 5 to 10 years, meaning you need to be fully committed to the long-term project. If you fail to meet the renovation requirements or break other program conditions, you could face heavy fines or even be forced to return the property to the municipality. On top of the renovation costs, you also need to budget for professional services. This includes hiring architects to design your renovations, securing permits from local authorities, passing inspections, and paying contractors who are qualified to meet strict German building codes. Every step of the process is closely regulated, and cutting corners is not an option. Essentially, purchasing one of these houses means stepping into a complex, time-consuming, and potentially expensive construction project, far beyond just buying a cheap property. 6. Legal requirements for foreign buyers. If you're not a German citizen, the process gets more complicated. EU citizens have relatively straightforward access to these programs with minimal restrictions. Non-EU buyers face additional scrutiny and may need special permits depending on the property location. You'll need a German bank account, German tax identification number, and likely need to work with a German lawyer who specializes in property law. Some municipalities prioritize German citizens or EU residents in their selection process. You'll also need to prove financial capability to complete the renovations, which means showing bank statements and possibly securing financing from German banks. Language barriers can be significant since most documentation and legal proceedings happen entirely in German. 5. Living in these small German towns. Life in these rural German communities is drastically different from what most people expect. These aren't trendy Berlin neighborhoods or charming Bavarian villages full of tourists. Many have populations under 5,000 with limited shopping, dining, and entertainment options. Public transportation can be sparse, with buses running only a few times daily. The nearest major city might be an hour or more away by car. Job opportunities are extremely limited, so remote work is often essential. Internet speeds can be slow in rural areas, though this is improving. The communities tend to be older with fewer young families. However, there are upsides like tight-knit communities, low crime rates, beautiful countryside, and authentic German culture without tourist crowds. You'll need to embrace a slower pace of life and be prepared to integrate into a small town where everyone knows everyone. 4. Renovation challenges and regulations. German building regulations are strict and comprehensive. Every renovation requires permits and must meet current energy efficiency standards, including modern insulation, efficient heating, and sometimes solar panels. Historical buildings need original architectural features maintained. Finding contractors in rural areas is difficult and expensive. Materials must meet German standards. Inspections happen at multiple stages, and failures mean costly do-overs. Winter construction is limited due to harsh weather. Successful renovations typically take 3 to 5 years of active management. 3. Success stories and real examples. Despite the challenges, some people succeed. A British couple bought a house in Saxony for €1 and spent 80,000 euros creating a countryside retreat. A young German family in Thuringia turned theirs into a sustainable home with solar power. Digital nomads have bought these as long-term projects, spending summers on renovations. Artists have established studios and galleries, helping revitalize local culture. The common thread is realistic expectations, sufficient funding, timeline flexibility, and genuine community commitment. 2. Is this actually a good investment? From a pure financial perspective, these properties rarely make sense as investments. Property values in these regions have been stagnant or declining for years. After spending 100,000 euros on renovations, your total investment might exceed what the finished property is worth. Resale markets are extremely limited with few potential buyers. Rental income potential is minimal due to low local demand and depressed rental rates. However, if you're looking for an affordable way to own property in Europe, live mortgage-free, or create a personal retreat, the math changes. The value comes from lifestyle rather than financial return. You're essentially paying renovation costs to own a home outright in a peaceful location. For retirees, remote workers, or anyone seeking a slower pace of life, the lifestyle benefits can outweigh the financial drawbacks. Just don't expect to flip these properties for profit. 1. Should you actually buy one? The €1 house program works for a very specific type of person, and it's important to understand what you're really signing up for before getting involved. You need significant renovation funds available, ideally 100,000 euros or more set aside, because these properties often require complete structural repairs, modern utilities, insulation upgrades, roofing work, and interior rebuilding to meet current living standards. Unexpected costs almost always arise, so a strong financial cushion is essential. You must also have flexible work that allows remote operation or be retired, since managing renovations from afar is difficult and requires frequent on-site decisions. Patience is absolutely essential because this is a multi-year commitment with guaranteed delays, paperwork hurdles, contractor scheduling issues, and renovation surprises. Living temporarily without full comforts or dealing with construction disruptions may become part of daily life. You should genuinely want to live in rural Germany and embrace a quieter lifestyle, smaller communities, slower pace, and limited urban conveniences. Integration into local culture is important, and language skills in German are highly recommended, as many rural areas have limited English speakers and local offices operate primarily in German. So, could you see yourself living in Germany for just €1? If this surprised you, hit that like button and subscribe for more crazy real estate deals. And don't forget to check out my next video on unbelievable property bargains around the world.